Okay, fun one last week for the Aggies. Really proud of this team and coming out the last really 4 minutes of the second quarter, and then that kind of propelled us to the second half victory and be able to pull away. But we knew, it's what I told the guys at half, the most physical team was going to win that game, and we really turned it on the second half, and that's what it looks like. So probably our best overall game in all phases. I thought special teams, offense, and defense, man, they got after them pretty good. So we've progressed great this last month. Now we just got to finish strong versus Colorado State. Be a fun matchup. So let's go with some questions.
Coach, this is Jason Walker with Cash Philly Daily. I want to ask, how big this, 2-game win streak has been for the locker room. You've obviously had to push through some negatives this season, but how much of a lift has this given the team late in the season?
I think well-deserved feeling of success, right? These guys have been through a lot, but the one thing that hasn't changed has been their mindset and their attitude showing up to work. Have been smiling, working their butts off. And as you guys know, if you keep that mindset, no matter it's football or business, eventually you're going to have success. So it's awesome that these older guys can end up on top. I know we're not going to a bowl game, but got a chance to win, 3 in a row and 4 of our last 5. So that'd mean a lot to those guys and obviously this fan base as well, which is what they deserve.
Nate, Trentwood with the Deseret News. What's Spencer Petrus's status?
Yeah, I don't know yet. We'll know more here in the next probably 24 hours. Just hurt his throwing arm, so waiting to get all the reports back on that. So I'll be able to answer that probably later on in the week.
Coach Dreiling, Jason Turner from the Herald Journal. Just wanted to say quickly, regardless of what happens these next 2 weeks, it's been a pleasure. Appreciate you. And then my question, just kind of a follow-up. Teague Anderson and Avante Dickerson did not play on Saturday. Just curious how they're coming along. And I'm assuming Will Money's probably out for the season. I see he's not on the depth chart anymore.
Jason, can you send that first recorded part to my wife so she knows that other people appreciate me? That would go a long ways at home. And then Teague should be back. He got banged up a little bit 2 weeks ago, but he'll be back. Avante Dickerson is probably done for the season, as well as Will Money. So we do get Teague back on the offensive line, which should sure some things up.
Coach, Jason Walker again. Just want to ask about, upcoming opponent. What challenges are they going to present that maybe San Diego State or Hawaii didn't quite present?
Colorado State's going to commit to the run. They want to run the ball. Ever since their best receiver got hurt, they kind of altered the offense to more of a ground and pound type deal and taking shots off of it. So I think their O-line is very well coached. They do a good job running some outside wide zone schemes, and their tailbacks are good, man. They do a good job of breaking tackles, and then, as their quarterback, he threw for 5,000 yards or whatever it was last year, and he's got a couple go-to-head receivers on the outside. So offensively, they don't score a lot of points, but that's because they don't go fast. They're 127th slowest offense in the country, but they're very efficient. So the biggest challenge, Jason, is going to be getting off the field on third down. We can't have our offense sit on the sideline for 8 to 10 minutes and get cold. We got to be able to win third downs, get them back on the field, so they can get rolling and keep things up like they have the last 2 weeks.
Hey, Coach Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan. Oh, sorry, Patrick.
Oh, no, go ahead, Eric.
Sorry, I was just going to add, just on the other side there, defensively, they've got a great defensive lineman, Gabe Kirschke, who's got a number of tackles for loss and sacks and even some forced fumbles, and they've got some pretty aggressive corners as well. Just what do you see out of them defensively?
Yeah, it's fun. So Gabe Kirschke, I recruited out of high school when I was at New Mexico State. We were the only Division I school to offer him. But he wanted to go walk on up at Wisconsin. So I've had a great relationship with him and his dad. So really proud to see him get his first action and really excel as a freshman. So he will have an unbelievable career like I knew he would. So hats off to him. And then defensively, man, they do so much stuff. They do so much stunting and shifting up front to try to stop the run game. And on the back end, they're just very sound on defense. So we know that, one, we got to be able to go fast on offense. We got to be able to get that first down. And it's going to come down to making plays. Our wide receivers have done a great job these last couple of weeks of finishing contested catches, right? Whether it's Grant Page or Otto or Kai Reese, they've done just a great job. And then I think Coach Cefalo has really taken off this second half of the year in red zone. Early on, we get to the red zone, we kick field goals. Now we get to the red zone, and I think we expect to score, and it's been a different mindset. They've done a good job of finishing drives, and that's why we get more points on the board. So, like I said, if we can get off the field on third down on defense, and then keep our offense rolling, and keep those wide receivers catching balls, and hopefully Razul and Hirsch can get another big game and go from there.
Hey, Coach Patrick Mayhorn from the Ag Ship. The Colorado State offense has two running backs who have taken pretty much equal snaps this year with Morrow and Marshall. What different skill sets do you get from those two, and how do you accommodate, dealing with two very different running backs?
Yeah, one is about as big as it gets, 210 pounds, and does a very good job of getting downhill and breaking tackles. And the other one is a little bit smaller, which is, I think is kind of what they want in their scheme. He kind of gets hid behind the offensive lineman, but then he is very explosive and has an unbelievable vertical cut to get going. So they have a great 1-2 punch, man. But like I said earlier, I think their O-line is extremely well coached. They handle blitzes, they handle stunts very well. It's going to come down to getting these guys tackled. You watch them on tape, and it looks like it's going to be a 1-yard loss, and it ends up in 2nd and 5, and then that leads to 3rd and 1, right? That's why they're being efficient on offense. They have so many 3rd and shorts as opposed to 3rd and long. That's what happens when you run the ball, though.
Coach Dreiling, Jason Turner again. You touched upon red zone production and 6 for 6 with 6 touchdowns against San Diego State, but you also held them out of the end zone on 3 of their 5 red zone productions, or red zone trips. So how gratifying was it to really control the red zone last Saturday?
It's such a huge piece of it, Jason, and you're spot on. Third downs in the red zone are essentially 4-point plays. You're either going to hold them, they're going to kick a field goal, or you're going to hold them and then, got a chance to get off the field because they went for it on 4th down. So we're doing a much better job on third down red zones defensively. And then the improvement on the offense, I couldn't be more proud, whether it's run the ball or getting Sturzer in the pass game. And obviously having Bryson down there has been a whole nother element to our offense, being able to get QB run games and different things. So that's what it is, man. When the margins of error are so small, especially for us and in this conference, you have to be able to finish drives both on offensively and defensively. That's why we've had a lot of success these last couple of weeks. So if we're going to do that and end this thing on a high note, that's what it's going to come down to again.
Coach Jason Walker again. You talked about after this last game about Bryson Barnes kind of surprising San Diego State, them not being for a running quarterback. Whether or not Spencer Petras plays, Colorado State's going to prepare for Bryson if he ends up playing a lot of snaps. How tough will it be to try and, game plan so that so you can have a similar advantage, even though a team's going to be prepared for a running quarterback?
Yeah, I think Colorado State will have probably 2 game plans. That's kind of what you have to do, knowing that, very easily could play either quarterback. I think that's one thing offensively is going to try to take advantage of. When you have 2 defensive game plans, that's a lot of time. And that's a lot of knowledge you have to get to your players, and that's a lot of headspace that gets stored. So hopefully we're able to show multiple looks, look very complex, but at the same time be very simple regardless of who's in the game. Because ultimately, if our offense can go fast and get our first down, we score points almost every single drive if that happens, right? And we eliminate penalties. So I think regardless of who's in at quarterback, it's requiring Colorado State to work a lot this week. Now we just got to be able to take advantage of hopefully a complex offensive scheme and make it simple for us.
Coach Dreiling, I have one more question. I wanted to ask you one more about Bryson. How much does he really epitomize kind of this team's mantra of not giving up and playing to the end of the season?
Yeah, he's so Bryson is a winner. He's one of the best winners I've ever been around. In the middle part of the year, he would go in on 3rd and short, and everyone in the stands knew it, and he would get the 3rd and short every single time because he just wants it more. He prepares extremely hard, maybe harder than anybody in this building when he was the backup quarterback. So I can't imagine what he's going to do, if he does get the reins handed over, whether it's this week or next year, whatever there's a case for him. But he's just got such a bright future because of 2 things. He's one, like I talked about, he's a winner, but then 2, his toughness level is unmatched. And when it comes down to it, he's going to make the play because he's going to want it more, and he's so extremely tough. So when you have a quarterback like that, yeah, man, you kind of just feed off of it and it kind of inspires everybody. So, Bryson's going to be unbelievable, man. And I think next year he's got a chance to really take it off and establish himself as one of the best in the Mountain West, if not the country.
Hey, Coach Patrick Mayhorn again. I got one more on cornerback tackling, perimeter tackling, especially against screens. You've seen a lot of them these last couple weeks, and it seems like those guys have really progressed in getting those wrapped up before anything bad can happen. How does that impact the rest of the defense where you can trust your corners to make those plays on the outside?
Yeah, Patrick, you're spot on with that. One thing that maybe struggled early on was explosive plays, and it wasn't necessarily deep balls, but it was missed tackles on hitches or ball bounces outside, and we're out of position. So huge shout out to Coach Ortiz for getting those corners dialed in on finishing tackles, wanting to finish tackles, whether it's a throw and catch and get them down, or it's coming up to fit the run. But that when you're all 11 guys are fitting where they're needed to be, but even more importantly now finishing, you see what a great defense can look like. That's what it's been the last couple of weeks, and hats off to those guys. Corners don't get much love in the run game, but they're a huge piece of it. It's going to show up just like this week versus Colorado State.
Hey, Coach Eric Franson with 106.9 The Fan again. You've kind of alluded to this already, just your team's building momentum here. There's been a little more roster stabilization, which has been part of that as well. But with the team building momentum and building confidence, how do you feel like, does this help you in a case to stay on as the head coach and remove the interim tag at Utah State?
The big thing with that, Eric, and my mindset going into this year was I'm not going to make any decisions based off of what's going to get me this job. Every decision that we make in this building and that I make is what's best for these players and how can we get them successful. And next week we can have this conversation and we'll see what happens. But right now, the only thing I'm really worried about is making sure that we send these guys out on top, making sure we keep getting better. And if we do that, maybe things will take care of itself. But the main focus has to be on the players until this job's done.